10,000 bits. Guys, we got the one and only Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro, actually the best Yu-Gi-Oh! Player to exist ever, the Stevie Blunder. Stevie, would you like to introduce yourself?
We're gonna use those 10,000 bits to take one person out of Alcoholics Anonymous.
All right, Stevie, you want to do the thing that we're supposed to do?
Yeah, I guess we'll make content. Can't believe I'm forced.
Well, something you guys can't see is I have one of my minions having a gun behind Stevie's head right now, saying he must collab with me and rate these Pokemon cards. What is your background with Pokemon TCG? Like, I want to know what your knowledge is at and all that
all
fun
I know
stuff.
about the Pokemon TCG is that, like, there's a card called Iron Thorns. That's allegedly good. Like, that's kind of it.
Are you ready, Stevie, or are we just stalling for time?
Don't do my job.
Bro's
God damn
actually
it.
playing Snorlax stall right now.
I'm playing Minesweeper.
Let's go gambling!
Ooh, did you wear that just for today's stream? I can't believe you got so dressed up for my stream. You must love him so much.
If you're wondering who I am, I'm Stevie. I run all the content. Any video that you see on any of the girls' channels is directly because of me and nobody else. It is all definitely just me. And
He also
make sure
provides
that-
large,
Oh, really?
copious amounts of ibuprofen to Miwa Bell. Is that true? Do you also give her?
yeah, we stay strapped.
You know, the more I get to talk to you, Stevie, the more shadier of a person I think you are.
Of course, I'm a trading card game player. Half of us are on narcotics.
You know what? You're valid. All right, Stevie, are you ready to receive your first card?
Yeah, let's run it.
Yeah. All right. Your first card is Nemona.
Draw 3 cards.
Yeah.
From like what I understand from Pokemon, like every fucking card on planet Earth draws some card, and just like drawing 3 rando cards is probably pretty poo-poo. I'm gonna say it's not very poggers. 3 out of 10.
I would even argue this is a 2 out of 10. This card is almost never sees any play. The only deck I have ever seen this played in is Tinkaton, but that deck solely relies on drawing like 10 to 15 cards a turn. Speaking of drawing cards, are you ready to see your next one? Professor's Research.
Discard your hand and draw 7 cards. I mean, this looks pretty good. You just ship your entire hand. There's no cards that say like you have to discard minimum like 4 cards or whatever. Just draw 7 after like you vomited out your hand. How is it not like the greatest card of all time?
You are actually very correct.
We're
This
so
card,
bad.
It's not played in every deck, but it's an extremely powerful card. Just because a lot of decks need a ton of cards to be able to function. You want to see your item cards, you want to see your energies, you want to see your evolutions. So this is a great way to just kind of run through your deck. What's cool about this card is that if you look on the corner, like next to the title in small text, it says Professor O. There's different professors on it, and everybody plays like their favorite one.
Oh.
What would you be playing if you played this card?
Let me hop on a certain site real quick. Pokemon Professors.
Is that an actual site, or are you fucking with me?
I'm on Google Images. Does that count?
Okay.
It's only Juniper and that one woman with the orange hair.
Sada?
Oh, the caveman woman? Oh, God, yeah. All right, we're in
Oh,
there.
Sonia. But yeah, this card is broken. Actually, I wouldn't say it's broken, but it's very
It's
powerful.
broken. It draws 7.
Bro.
Literally tell me one bad thing about this card. Spoiler alerts, you fucking can't. I'm going like 10 for 10. I'm going like 100%. Asian genes, don't fail me now.
Why is it so tiny in here? Your next card is Dan. Another draw supporter card.
Why is it all supporters? Well, fucking
Well,
whatever.
no, we have more. I'm just
What does
giving you
White
the
Boy do?
supporters.
Draw 2 cards. You and your opponent play rock. This card's ass. I don't have to read the rest of this shit. Get this shit away from me.
Wait, what's wrong with playing rock, paper, scissors?
Okay, so you either play RPS. If you win the RPS, you draw 4 cards, which is like barely better than Finding Nemo earlier. Or we draw 2 cards, which is worse than Nemo. Like, this card is doo-doo.
You're correct. This is a troll card. The
God,
only
yeah.
people who play this card are the people who like to troll in locals and waste time.
Anything for that extra fucking card. Oh, God, yeah.
Exactly. They just like to gamble.
Anything
This is for the
1%
gamblers.
consistency.
Would you like to see your next card?
Oh, God, yes. Let's see it.
All right. Your next card is not a trainer card. Mew EX. There's a Pokemon card, an actual Pokemon.
Mew EX, it's a basic Pokemon. All I know is that like you could just play it for free, right? Because it's a
Yes.
basic, you don't have to like digi-evolve it. Okay.
No.
How do abilities work in Pokemon?
It really depends on on what the ability says. Oftentimes it'll say like once per turn, as many times per turn, but you can basically activate it as long as there's not an ability lock in the game.
So once during your turn, you would draw cards instead of 3 in your hand. If you have multiple Mews, can you use this multiple times?
Yes, you can.
Draw me a picture where you play a Mew, you vomit your hand out, you draw 3 cards. In those 3 cards, you find another Mew, you play that, you vomit the last 2 cards, you draw 3 more cards, you draw into another Mew or a way to find a Mew, play that. Am I bringing up any PTSD or am I just fucking trolling right now?
What you're saying is a little bit trolling, I would say. Most people only play 1 copy of this card.
What?
This card, at first when it was revealed, it was pretty hyped. 1 for the ability and 2 for its attack, being able to copy your opponent's active Pokemon attack.
We don't care about attacks. All I care about is drawing cards. I just want to draw cards.
So this is actually a pretty, I want to say, above average card. It has a free retreat cost, which is very, very important because oftentimes you're playing switching cards and stuff like that. Being able to pay 0 energies to retreat for free is pretty powerful. It's overall a, I want to say, decent card. Its biggest weakness, however, is the amount of HP it has.
It's 180. How is that low?
Some of the highest HPs in the game is 330 to like 340.
Oh, never mind. Get him out of here.
And it's weak to dark, and dark Pokemon right now are pretty powerful. This
fell
out of play for a little bit.
Weaknesses.
It's a good card, I'm not gonna lie, but I mean, it's a big. It's
didn't play 4 like the rest of us.
Nobody plays 4.
The sooner you see your draw card, the sooner you win. And if you draw an extra one, you just fucking discard it. It's not that bad.
I mean, I'm not saying it's bad. You'll see it in decks that like to switch out a lot, like Miraidon, but you're not gonna see it in like Charizard or like Gardevoir or any of like those meta decks right now.
Fine.
Lysandre. Let's give you an older card.
Oh shit, it's eggs.
We got Mr. Exeggcute here.
Once during your turn, before your attack, this Pokemon is in your discard pile. You may put this Pokemon to your hand. Okay, so this card is fucking hot ass. This is basically a how good is getting a theoretical once per turn add back to just like infinitely discard. What if you draw this in your 7? What if this is like the only basic in your 7? Like you're fucked.
You are
like,
actually.
Oh, I haven't said anything yet.
Okay, go ahead. I'm just eager to tell you about this card.
If you had like 4 eggs in the discard, you could just add back 4 eggs, right?
You are actually for the most part correct. This card was really strong for a while. There's a lot of cards in Pokemon that the cost you pay is discarding cards from your hand. So basically having a card that when it gets sent to the discard pile, you can just pull it back. It is a once per turn, but people would play like sometimes I would see most people play like 2 to 3. They would just loop and it was really disgusting. It is infinite
protein, infinite discards. We're so fucking bad.
Discarding.
I guess like the only bad scenario is like if this is like the only basic in your 7, you want to find a new TCG, I guess.
That's just a risk you have to take in Pokemon.
Wahali, these eggs will fucking get us there.
However, if you do start with this and your opponent knocks it out, it just goes into the discard pile and you can use it again.
That sounds about right.
It is not
pretty good card.
It is a really good card.
All my homies love drawing cards.
As you see, there's a lot of abilities, right, in Pokemon.
Abilities seem to be the fucking name of the game here.
Exactly. So I'm gonna show you the next card. She was quite a popular card back in the day.
Hex Maniac. Oh god, yes. I've seen this woman on the timeline.
In what context, Stevie? What context have you seen her in the timeline?
We're not going to talk about that.
Okay.
Let's see. Until the end of your opponent's next turn, each Pokemon in play, in each player's hands, and each player discard. Jesus fucking Christ. I mean, this card just like reads broken.
Yeah.
You just play a deck with no Pokemon that care about their abilities, or you just play a bunch of cards that have similar abilities that just say like, oh, your opponent's Pokemon have no abilities, and then like if you don't draw those cards, you just slap a Hex Maniac down to like buy yourself an extra turn until you do find. This says like, yeah, your opponent fucking cannot. Dog, like, GG, go next. Extend the handshake. Better draw the app, buddy.
Exactly. So this card was Exegcute's worst nightmare.
Oh god, yes.
If your Pokemon did not have their abilities, your deck could not function, and this card basically says, nah, you don't get abilities at all till the end of your turn. Fuck you. This card was everybody's worst nightmare back then. Speaking of ability shutting down cards, this card I'm going to show you next is a very special card. We never saw a card like this ever again.
Team Galactic's Invention G103 Power. This sounds like a fucking graphics card, but whatever. You may play this card during your opponent's turn whenever you're full. Oh shit, we found a hand trap, chat. We're so back. What's a trainer? Is it like the same as a supporter, or is it just like an item?
It is an equivalent item. This card was printed during, I believe, the Platinum era, the Diamond Pearl Platinum era.
Prevent all effects of that Poke power. If you have 2 or less, what's it? Pokemon SP.
SP, it was like a little trait on the card.
So you need to have SPs in order to play this card, right?
So I'm gonna tell you something right now. This was the only card Pokemon has ever printed that allowed you to play it during your opponent's turn. The only card that has ever been printed. This was the equivalent of a hand trap. And I don't know what was wrong with them when they made this card. This immediately saw some play. Basically, Poke Powers, they used to call abilities Poke Powers back in the day. So this is another one of those ability shutting down cards. What's beautiful about this card is that it's not a supporter card. It is an item, equivalent of an item. They didn't call them items back in the day. They were called trainers for some fucking reason.
Thanks, Nintendo.
You could have all 4 of these in your hand, and if your opponent played 4 Poke Powers / abilities, you can play 4 of these down and be like, yeah, you can't do that. So Pokemon learned their lesson. After they made this card, it never printed like something like it again. Ooh, let's give you
Radiant Jirachi. Wow.
Radiant Jirachi.
If this Pokemon in the active spot is knocked out by damage by an attack, search your deck for up to 3 cards and then put them into your hand. Then shuffle your deck. Astral Misfortune. Flip 2 coins. If both of them are heads, your opponent active Pokemon is knocked out. The attack is fucking dog shit Tipu. Unless there's like randomly some card that allows you to like reflip coins or like adjust the results of like a coin toss to whatever you say. Like if there is, then like goddamn, this is like the greatest fucking card ever played. Radiant Pokemon rule. You can't have more than 1 Radiant Pokemon in your deck. Does that mean like you can only have 1 Radiant Jirachi?
One Radiant Jirachi.
Wahali, we will fucking nest ball into this, I guess. Let's assume we have like a shitty little combo that we want to do. We would have to either hard open this in our 7 and get this onto the base, or we'd have to play a Pokemon essentially with no retreat, with like a 0 retreat cost, find Radiant Jirachi with like 1 of our 4 nest balls or a way to draw into it, which maybe is like 12, sample size 7, 1, 12.
What the fuck are you doing?
It's like what? Maybe like a 75% chance we do that. Let's assume like our opponent has like a Hex Maniac. If they knock out our Pokemon, does the Entrusted Wishes still work?
No.
So like, this card's dog shit.
So I will tell you something. It saw professional play once this season. Its ability is pretty busted when it does pop off, but the only time this saw any professional play was when Tord Reklev played this in a stall deck. What the strategy with this card was is you sent it out when you were in the middle of like trying to set up, and you want to try to bait your opponent to knock this out so you could just search for any 3 cards in the deck.
Yeah, that sounds like the stupidest fucking idea ever. That's like it's like planting a bomb in your like your friend's front yard and being like, a push this big red button. Trust me, nothing will happen, smile.
Let's give you a stadium card.
Lost World. I'm assuming Stadium's kind of like a field spell, like it just kind of stays in play forever until like it's removed or someone plays something else. Once during each player's turn, if that player's opponent has 6 or more Pokemon in Lost Zone, you can choose to win the game. Okay, like what the fuck? Okay, first of all, is there a side deck in Pokemon?
No.
Are there cards that search stadiums? I assume so, right?
Kind of, yes. Most cards will say like let's say there's like a supporter card. It'll say search for a stadium and something else, so you'll be able to search 2 at the cost of a supporter per turn. At the time that this card was released, there was not very many ways to boost your Lost Zone. Nowadays, you can get to 6.
But this card is like very much not legal now. It's like not in rotation.
Oh, yeah, no, 100%. I actually think it's banned and expanded. I might have to double check that. Yeah, you didn't even have to knock out your opponent or anything. You didn't have
you just make your opponent fucking send 6 to the Lost Zone. It's like, fuck it, bro. This card ultimately like was at absolute fucking best, like rogue playable, maybe.
You are pretty much on the spot. This was a very rogue card for its time. There were some decks that did play with the Lost Zone at the time. It was a newer mechanic that was brought into the game, but it was so new that it didn't really see too much play.
Chat, they call me the fucking Messi of rating Pokemon cards. Poseidon could fucking never.
Bro is actually secretly a Pokemon pro.
Just read the card. You just like read it. It's like, yeah, that's probably good.
Let's give you this one. This card's been around for a very long time. And it's still seen play, so I give you Super Rod.
Shuffle up the 3 combination of any Pokemon and basic energy cards from your discard pile into your deck. It's an item card, so it's free. The Pokemon don't have to be basic Pokemon, just any Pokemon, right?
Nope, it doesn't have to be basic.
This card's probably played in the context where you want to shuffle back resources that you don't really want discarded. Wow, great analysis, Stevie. 10 out of 10.
You're pretty much almost there.
Is it
Most decks in the format play this card.
That's it. I'm selling my dog.
This card is also really good late game when you're close to like ending the game and you need to throw back your Charizards or your Psychic Energies and stuff like that to be able to pull off that last play. This is a great card. I have a full play set of some really pretty ones because there was a point in time where I was playing a deck that played 4 of these motherfuckers. Let's give you... Oh, Medicham V.
It's a V Pokemon, so when it's knocked out, your opponent takes 2 prize cards. I feel like that will be definitely very relevant and not at all silly. Put 2 damage counters on one of your Pokemon. If your opponent's Pokemon is knocked out by this attack, take another turn after this one. If one of your Pokemon used Yoga Loop during your last turn, this attack can't be used. Smash Uppercut, this attack isn't affected by resistance. Okay.
This was played a lot in the beginning of the Scarlet and Violet meta, where Pokemon was bringing back a lot of stage 2 decks. So most players were playing like 60, 70, 80 HP Pokemon at the time.
Are there items that like deal damage or like put damage counters on Pokemon?
Not necessarily items.
Are there abilities that do
There
it?
are abilities that do
Okay,
put
now we're
damage counters, and there are abilities that can move damage counters around.
Now, the bigger question is, how impactful is taking an extra turn in Pokemon? Let's assume like it's turn 1 or turn 2. Your opponent establishes like 2 or 3 Pokemon on their bench, and you can't Yoga Loop like multiple times in a row. Because otherwise, the shit would be fucking bonkers.
Oh yeah, that's why it says the last one you can't use it.
Yeah.
It's not an actual Yoga Loop, but...
So lame. But anyways, how consistent is it to basically open a 4-card combo of Medicham, double colorless energy, or an item that allows you to attach an additional energy? This card was definitely really, really good. And then people just started building around this so that they wouldn't get like Medicham cheese. And then this deck became like the worst fucking thing you could possibly play.
So this card was played in a very, very specific deck. So if you look at the card, at the corner under its health points, it says Rapid Strike. It's a trait that
I won't lie, I thought that shit was just to make it look cool.
No, this actually very much mattered. This deck's specialty was you discarding energy from your hand, putting damage counters on your opponent's, I believe, benched Pokemon, playing it with cards that move damage counters around, and knocking them out with Medicham. There was a special energy at the time called Rapid Strike Energy that basically said if this is attached to a Rapid Strike Pokemon, it can provide 2 of like certain energy types. What made it even really much better was that there was a Pokemon called Octillery. It's a stage 1 Pokemon where its ability says you may search the deck for any Rapid Strike card you want.
Well, fucking go.
So this card was feared for a long time, especially during the beginning of the Scarlet and Violet format where we had decks like Lost Box running around. This deck basically hard countered it. It punished your opponent for playing low HP Pokemon because taking another turn is very, very powerful in the game. However, this deck had a very high skill cap to play.
The fuck? This sounds like the easiest fucking deck to play. Just fucking put damage counters and pray to God. What the fuck do you mean this shit was hard?
You had to have a PhD to be able to play Rapid Strike.
I could play this card.
I'm sure you could, Stevie. You're
I'm the
literally the
fucking
world's...
goat.
4 more cards left, Stevie. Are you ready?
Let's see it.
Cyllene.
Was this supposed to be like Cyrus's daughter?
I actually didn't end up finishing the game.
Excuse me, what?
Put a number of cards from the number of heads from your discard pile on top of your deck in any order. Wow! This looks like ass! This is a Superon, but a Pokemon! But as a supporter, it's somehow worse. Unless there's like a very, very, very specific like energy or item card that you want on top of your deck that you can like, I don't know, draw into. It's just, no, this card's fraudulent, this card's fake, and it's fucking dog shit. I'm sorry, Cyllene.
This card was okay for a while. You can't recycle special energies, you can't recycle certain cards. People would play this card to be able to get those back. this is my personal opinion, but I do not like coin flipping supporter cards. I don't want to be able to rely solely on luck for me to win a game. But this card did see some play, specifically during a time where rare candy was very important and there was no way to get the rare candies back into the deck. I mean,
Whatever it takes, I guess.
if you like gambling, this is a great card to play. If you don't like gambling, then probably don't play something like this. Oh boy, I think everybody has something to say about this one. But we got Lysandre's trump card.
Each player shuffles all cards in his or her discard pile into his or her deck, except Lysandre's trump card. Okay, you can play this on like turn 1, right?
At the time, supporters were allowed to be played during turn 1, but nowadays, no.
How important is like the discard pile in Pokemon? Is like the first.
Pretty important.
You can't tell me that in certain matchups that this card was either just complete dog shit or immediately won you the game. There is like no in between for this card.
This card is banned in expanded
Awesome.
format.
Yep,
It
not
is
surprised.
banned. There was a very specific deck called Night March. So it did more damage for each Pokemon that were in the discard pile that had the Night March attack. And it was one of the best decks in format. This card basically said, you know what? All your Night March cards in the discard pile, put that back in the deck.
Go away.
You're basically starting the game over at that point, and some players just didn't want to deal with it. Ooh, we got one more, Stevie, actually. Are you ready for your final card? Honestly, one of my personal favorites. We have another Radiant Pokemon.
Radiant Greninja. Oh god, yes.
Radiant Greninja.
You must discard an energy card from your hand in order to use this ability. Once per turn, you may draw 2 cards. Like, it's a trade in bad card, get good cards, maybe.
Yep.
Moonlight Shuriken. Discard 2 energy from this Pokemon. Its attack does... Oh god. does 90 to your opponent's bench Pokemon? When, what did we say? Like, what the average health value was? Like, 50?
Yeah.
Like, 60?
Or like 60. You'll see more like the baby Pokemon like that aren't EXs. They're around the 60 to 80 range.
I guess like in a format with a lot of high base HP bench Pokemon, or like Pokemon that you kind of want on the bench, it's like not as good, but there are like ways around it. It's got a pretty low HP value. Like 130 isn't that great. Like as soon as you fucking use this, it's basically a 2-for-1. Like you grab 2 prize cards, and like even if your opponent knocks this out, you could just recycle it with the rod, grab it back because it's a fucking basic, and every fucking card on Planet Earth can search this. You replay Radiant Greninja, you draw 2 more cards, you fucking attach the billion energy, you attack your opponent's bench again, use a bunch of fuck-ass trainer and support cards. Like, your opponent's just forced to take like infinite 2-for-1s and basically be forced into like a lose-lose scenario where they either don't refill their bench and fucking lose, or they refill their bench and then you hit them with the fucking Greninja Glicky.
Are you ready for me to tell you about this card?
Let's see it.
This is probably the best Radiant in the entire game.
Oh god, yes! I was never wrong about anything.
Its ability is absolutely busted. There's a lot of water support in the game right now. A lot of decks, even that don't play the water energy, play it just solely for the ability. That's how good this card is.
It's awesome. How was this card ever? It's the fucking GOAT.
It is an amazing card. I love this card so much. My Radiant Greninja has been played so much that it looks like a Pringle now. It's because I also riffle shuffle, so.
Shuffling is the only way to shuffle.
Exactly.
It's the best way.
But that is our final card, Stevie. What are your thoughts on the cards that I showed you today?
Shout out to Medicham and Power Spray, the actual
Power
goats.
Spray. That was the closest Pokemon has ever gotten to Yu-Gi-Oh! They wanted to like, see if they could replicate Yu-Gi-Oh! And everybody said, don't fucking print something like this ever fucking again.